essence of why we put this piece of legislation together. One, it's about providing retirement security. We want no more Central Falls. We do not want to see retirees or potential retirees getting 45% of their promised benefit. So it's first and foremost about retirement security. The bill focuses on those plans that are in trouble. We call them the critical plans. Trying to impose the state's will on all municipal pension plans. If there are those that are well-funded and there isn't and retirement security isn't in jeopardy, we do not address them. It's only those that are critical.
As the Auditor General stated in his most recent report, many municipal pension plans are severely underfunded, which presents risk. Sufficient funds will not be available to meet the promised benefits to retirees.
If you pass this, you're basically mandating to the cities and towns, if you're in critical situation, you better find a solution. And part of the problem is, in fact, the major part of the problem is it's not the employee's fault. They've been paying their contributions. It's the municipalities have not been, and we have to get them to that position.
Welcome to the Senate and House Finance Committee.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Mr. Mooney sets out what happened in Providence and why we're in the situation that we're in. And just to very briefly, the General Assembly in 1923 formed the Providence Pension Fund. In the 1980s, we had very lucrative disability benefits, lavish COLAs, and legal appeals failed. That's in the article, and you can go through it. The big date for us was December 6, 1989. I was in college at the time. December 6, 1989, the Retirement Board granted 5% and 6% compounded COLAs to retirees and future retirees. And our ARC, Providence's ARC at that time, went from 12 million to 32 million. From 1985 to 1989, the Retirement Board granted 105 disability pensions. 105 disability pensions, this was 6 times what was expected by the actuaries. They expected 17, they had 105. In 1991, every police officer who retired, 21 received a job-related disability. And 48 out of 53 firefighters got disability pensions. That's 1991. Essentially, our problems relate directly to these compounded COLAs, to these COLAs that we have and that were given out in previous years. We have an $828 million unfunded liability. We're 34% funded. This year, we have an ARC payment of 58.9%. That's 100% of what we should be making as an ARC payment. And I want you to know that we amortized our unfunded liability over 30 years about 2 years ago. And our ARC payment is projected to grow to $210 million by 2039. Of that $58.9 million ARC payment, Director Leach talked to you about it. $9.5 million is our normal cost for current retirees. If I could, just want to make sure that it's clear. The $9.5 million is essentially, if we had a fully funded plan, that's what we would be paying for the employees we have today, based on the contracts we have today. 9.5 instead of 58.9. Obviously, the 49.4 million of the 58.9 goes toward the retirees and the unfunded liability. 49.4 or 58.9 goes to retirees and unfunded liability. That's why we're here.
Have concerns with the structure of how the current local plans are addressed in the bill. For Cranston, that funding mechanism and that formula, that 10-year period, is going to force some dramatic increases for my taxpayers in the city of Cranston. You really have to take into consideration what those burdens will be on our taxpayers. We're in the unenviable position of having to levy on an annual basis the potential for property tax increases, which is a very heavy burden, as we all know, in the state of Rhode Island. So how we do this has to not unduly burden the taxpayers across our state, but also recognize that what we're trying to do for many of these local plans that are in dire straits, and we heard about that term critical status, and Cranston's one of them, to try to save these plans for those employees. Because there's no doubt about it, There have been a lot of promises that have been made to the retirees. We all recognize it. And unfortunately, a lot of those promises that have been made in the past have not been met. But with that being said, it's not at a point of trying to point blame of how we really got here, but the facts are the facts and the numbers are the numbers.